Hello again, beautiful artists, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Along with Skye. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Skye, and I post beginning level acrylic painting tutorials here on YouTube every Saturday. So make sure to hit subscribe so you can join the fun and paint along. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. All right, this week we are well into spring again, and the trees are blossoming, the flowers are blossoming, and even the fruits are blossoming. So we're gonna do a fun strawberry blossom painting for today. One of my favorite fruits, so delicious and pretty this time of year. I have my 4 standard brushes for today's tutorial. I use these in most of my classes, and this is a kit that comes with 4 sizes. Your brushes don't have to be the exact same as mine, but they should be the same size and general shapes and for a water media. So this is a 3/4 inch wash brush, and then I have 3 pointed brushes of different sizes. This is a size 10, this medium size one is a size 3, and then our teeny tiny one is a size 3/0. Gonna get those in my water cup off the side of the screen. To start today, we have a super simple background, as simple as it gets, which is just going to be an all one color background. And I'm going to use my favorite color, which is phthalo green. It's my favorite to work with because it turns a gorgeous shade of aqua green blue for our background today. Your background really could be any color that you want. I thought long and hard about doing a blue background maybe, or even a pink background, whatever you like. I always encourage my students to mix it up and get creative. But it's gonna be really easy. We're just gonna grab our biggest brush and blend up our background color, whatever color we like. You can see my beautiful aqua green color. This color always reminds me of tropical water, which is why it's my favorite. I am a Pisces, grew up next to the ocean, although the ocean where I grew up doesn't look like this. It's not this color. This is a rare, beautiful, tropical watercolor, or maybe like a glacier water color. Let your imagination run wild. And any color that you like for your background, I am going to be consistent with my brush strokes and just go back and forth. And we want to get this whole canvas filled in completely with our background color, soaking into that canvas texture. I'm using a canvas board. The size that I usually use is 11 by 14. Some of my tutorials you'll see me use different sizes, and that typically is because they were out of this size at the store. And it was filming day crept up on me and I need to use whatever I can find. But that's a common question that I get, what size my canvas is. 11 by 14, but really any horizontal composition is fine. You just kind of shrink it or blow it up based on the size of your canvas. So a lot of people will use smaller canvases. I like to use these flat canvas boards, also primarily just for my storage, to not get too crazy. When I first started this channel, I was using the boxed canvases, which works well too, but when you have hundreds of paintings, it's nice to use the flat versions, and they are nice and cost effective as well. Great for practice, but the box canvases work too. And yeah, any size, it's customizable. It's not like a recipe or something where you gotta use the right size pan. Luckily, we have more flexibility in the art world. All right, let's go ahead and step away and let this dry completely, and then we're gonna come back and add our top layer of our strawberries, blossoms, and gorgeous vines. I will see everyone in a few. Okay, welcome back, artists. We have a completely dry background, and I got some fresh colors in my new piece of palette paper. I have black and white, some cadmium red, some more of my phthalo green, and a little bit of cadmium yellow and cadmium orange. I rinsed my brushes and got some fresh water at break as well. Let's go ahead and jump right back on into things. We're gonna do a very important step with this next step, so everyone take a deep breath. We're gonna sketch everything out essentially, but rather than using a pencil, we're going to use our paintbrush and we're going to use white. And we're gonna block out our whole composition here so that we can see what then we have to fill in with our base colors. So I wanna have a really full composition here. So something that's taking up my whole canvas. And I know I want my main vine to go kind of diagonally across. So I kind of eyeball it a few times first. And then with one swoop of the brush, going to create that first main line, which I can then go back and solidify just a little bit more. It's just so that we can see it though. So this is just the sketch step. And if you can see it even less so, then even better. I'm making sure that it has a nice, bold, thick line enough for you guys to be able to see the composition here as we build it. But yours can be even more faint, which will give you a little bit more flexibility if you want to change things up a little bit. But I'm going to go pretty far over with one more curved line shape. And that's going to be sort of like my focal point berry. So now I've taken up a lot of my canvas here, and I've made it so that I have a nice little off-center space here for my berry, and I'm going to sketch out a berry now too. So this is going to end right here with our big strawberry. And I'm going to do sort of like a little curved, flat heart shape at the top. And then we're going to make a sort of triangular shape here at the bottom. And they take slightly different shapes. They're not all cookie cutter. They're the natural world, of course. So you can adjust yours and make it a little bit different if you'd like. And then I'm going to start adding some of my greenery too. So I will need to do some greenery here on my strawberry. So I can do two little triangular shapes coming out there and make kind of like a star shape around the top for the little tuft of greenery there that attaches the strawberry. And then we're going to do some blossoms and some leaves, but we're going to need small little vines branching off from our big main vine for this. And maybe I'll have a leaf kind of coming up from there. I can mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna have a blossom here at the end of this vine line. And your composition really can look however you like. I'm going to do these just super simple petal shapes around the center point there, and I ended up with 6. I think I was going for 5. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, actually 8. Whatever. It's all right. It's not a scientific painting or anything like that. We're just getting the idea of it. And I'm gonna do a leaf now that's kind of coming off of the bottom. And this might look like a vine, but this is actually going to be the center part of my leaf where it has like the vein that goes through. And from the top, I'm going to do some little diagonal lines that sort of build on each other. They're not coming out of the same place. They're coming a little bit further down. We're like laddering our way down. Bear with me. We'd have one coming from off the side there. And then we can kind of go around those lines, coming in and then creating like triangular shapes around those main veins. Okay. And this will make more sense once I do it a few more times. But this is going to be our whole way here to create our leaves and our strawberries and our blossoms. And we do want to have some overlapping And you can also adjust this sketch now or later too. As you're filling in, you can always add, if you feel like, oh, I think I'll add a blossom over here, or I need another leaf, some more greenery down here. Whatever you need to do works for these sort of natural, nature-inspired compositions. And it's hard to tell when you're just working with white how the colors are going to look together. So let's do another blossom down here. I think will look nice. And let's see, I think I'd like to actually do a little curlicue in that space, which is our other element here to add to our composition. I'm going to definitely do a nice big leaf over here. And it's all going in the direction of our vein, of our, well, that's kind of what it is. It's bringing the lifeblood there into the plant, our vine. All right, laddering my way down with my diagonal lines. Until you get to the bottom, it sort of looks like a tree. And it looks good even if you aren't super neat and tidy with these shapes. Because again, that's how nature grows, it's wild. Okay, I'm trying to decide if I should add a strawberry over here or just some more blossoms. I think we'll go with some blossoms. Sort of filling in these empty spaces. And don't forget the curlicues. So we'll need some of those too. Okay, cute. And I do want at least one more strawberry. So let's bring a branch up to create another one. And I'm gonna do this strawberry a little smaller. And we'll give our little strawberry a little star hat too. Pretty cute. And how about a curlicue and a blossom over here too. Coming together, looking pretty cute. All right, let's see. Let's do curlicue would look nice there. And we could do another blossom. Like so. And I feel like I want more strawberries. Like I want one more somewhere. I'm trying to decide where I want to add it. I think a leaf would look nice too, but maybe a smaller one. Let's start with that. Same steps with each shape here. All right. That leaf looks a little different, and that's okay. I like it. I think the more curlicues, the better, personally. That looks pretty cute. Like I said, it's kind of hard to see what everything will look like before we have it filled in with color. But I think I'm gonna do one more leaf shape for sure. And then once we're finished with our white, with our main sketching here, prepping, we're gonna start to fill in to, I think, let's see, I think that's gonna look pretty cute with all the different colors. Let's just try with the 2 strawberries. When in doubt, leave it out. Okay, so that was a lot of the hard work. We've just created quite an easy go at it from here with filling in our colors. So I'm going to start with a vine green, and I'm going to take my phthalo green and mix it with my yellow. And that's going to create a more true green, since we have a little bit of blue in our phthalo green. And then I also added a little bit of white as well, but you want to make sure that it's a different color, different enough than your background. I'm going to start with the vine, and I'm going to now cover my white shapes. And I don't want to take this green through the blossoms or through the strawberries, because it's going to be hard to cover that with white or with red, since green is a pretty vibrant color. So we're going to go around. We're going to neatly paint in our little paint by numbers, and I'm starting right where I started before with the initial sketch and layout with the main vines. And I want to make sure I cover my sketch line, and I'm probably going to make it a little bit thicker as well if you were light-handed enough. All right. Our leaves are going to be green too, but slightly different. A little bit different of a technique there. Okay, covering our green or our white with green, covering the whole sketch line. It's just like covering pencil. You don't want to see it anymore. Pencil's actually harder to cover. Sometimes I'll use a pencil in my paintings, but not really with the beginner level stuff. It's a little bit more technical. A lot of times people do have an easier time with sketching, but you still got to paint it in. And it is good to get your dexterity building up and get used to holding a brush. But just like how there are no rules really with like painting size or what colors you use, rules against using a pencil, mixing your media, it's okay. If you don't like sketching with a paintbrush, you don't have to. But like I said, you're gonna have to fill it in. So the paintbrush is gonna need to be picked up and made friends with. All right, that looks cute. Let's go ahead and work on our leaves now too. We'll start with all of our green areas. And for my leaf, I'm going to go a shade lighter and maybe a shade greener too. So, or a shade more yellow, I guess I should say. Yellow green rather than the blue green. So a little bit more white too. Oh, and I already see I forgot a little curly Q there. And I'm gonna go on the outside here, still leaving the original little diagonal brush strokes with my white on the inside, but I am covering the outside sketch. I'm kind of working my way in from the outside in. I'm going to cover these white lines with a darker color in just a minute. And I don't want to lose sight of them in the meantime, so we're going to keep them there for a second. All right. I like the color contrast there of the different greens that we have. Just so springy, spring-like. All right, that looks good. And then I'm gonna sneak a little bit of a darker green in for the center line. And for the little diagonal lines as well. Pause however often you need these videos. The online format works for everybody, so you can customize it however you need. We're going to go along the outside edge with that dark green as well. And it's blending a little bit, and that's good. We want a little bit of wet on wet blending. Looks good. All right. Just making sure I have a clear edge there. Okay, and I want to blend a little bit into that dark green. So I'm going to, this is almost like an intermediate technique here. I'm going to go right along the edges with my original light green. This can be a really good way to sort of refine things as well. If you got a little bit too thick, a little too heavy-handed. But I'm creating a very small gradation. But it looks nice when you apply that all across your different shapes. Subtle but important. Softens the edge, it's like a blur. Okay, I'm just mixing up a little bit more of this main leaf color. And I'm going to do the same on all of my leaves. And this is gonna take a sec, so make sure that you are patient. Your painting is gonna take however long it's gonna take. I think being rushedness, hurriedness, it's like the worst thing. And it's when so many accidents happen, bad things happen when you rush. Let the thing take however long it's gonna take, especially with stuff like painting. I know that the modern world disagrees with me, but they can just wait as well. I think that's partially rebelliousness from my day job, which is working in news, which certainly doesn't like me saying it'll happen when it happens and I'll get you that headline when I get it to you. But I do say that too. It's a way of life. Even back when I was a young girl working in restaurants, I would refuse to rush because it doesn't really help. You're not actually usually speeding things up. You're usually just getting frantic and messing things up. It's like multitasking as well. Your brain can only do one thing at a time. So when you think you're multitasking, you're actually just switching back and forth quickly. All right, a little bit of a darker green, subtle difference in the green there, but enough to see the difference. And we're still going to add a highlight color onto our leaves too, so they're not quite finished, but they're coming together already pretty quickly. The shapes are fairly simple to finish once you get them laid out. And I'm going along the outside edge with my slightly darker green too. And then I'm taking more of my original green leaf color, softening the edges and blending it a little bit. Nice. All right, got a few more leaves, lots of greenery. Important in any natural composition. It's, I think, Mother Nature's favorite color. I think I need a little bit more yellow in there. And I'm gonna have this leaf be on top of the vine behind it. That's important. You gotta figure out what's on top of what with your layers, and so that it makes sense and that you don't have, you know, a leaf that should be in the foreground pushed towards the background. And again, I'm just going to the white there and leaving it out so that I can see where I need to take my dark green in just a minute. Kind of looks like lettuce. I'm hungry for lunch. Taking my dark green right down the center. I'm just adding a little bit more of my phthalo to get it darker. Not adding black yet. Not working with black. Black and white are our kind of final touches. And we like to be somewhat sparing with them. I use more black than a lot of artists use. I like it. I like the extremes of the light and dark. I like bright colors too. Some artists like muted colors, and that's okay too. I like that sometimes. But generally I don't fear highlights and shadows. Okay, and then remember, we're just softening things if we need to, blending a little bit. Adding some deliberately painterly brush strokes can actually be good. I know with beginning artists, it's easy to get caught up in making things really neat and tidy. But having a little bit of that sort of open, quick type movement in your brush strokes can look really good too. Better, I'd say, even. All right, that's looking pretty good. Just have a few more. Whew, lots of leaves today. And today is maybe a little bit trickier of a painting, but I thought it was really pretty and a good idea for the spring. I always tend to do florals in the springtime. I always think of that line from the Devil Wears Prada movie. Florals for spring, groundbreaking. So try to do some fruit too, maybe. Some other things for spring that aren't florals. There are floral elements to this painting though. You guys know how I love painting food. There's a whole section, playlist, with food if you enjoy painting food too. And it makes a good painting to hang in your kitchen too, I think. That one's kind of a strange leaf, but we're gonna go with it. We're not gonna judge it. Okay. We'll lighten everything up a little bit too once we add our highlights. So it's okay if things are looking a little dark. With your two greens, trust the process. I tell myself and you guys. Okay. And I'm gonna take that dark green along the outside edge as well. Have the strawberry in the front here, so I'm not bringing my green through my strawberry. It's going to be behind. Okay, I'm going to just really quick, because it's bothering me, get this little curly Q that I forgot too. Can't forget the curly Q. Okay. All right, last leaf. That is a lot of hard work finished. So good job if you made it this far, and I'm proud of you. I do want to mention, if you are painting along today and you would like to share your work, I have a Facebook group called the Art Club that's designed specifically for that purpose, because I love seeing what you guys come up with. It's truly the best part of my day, and you can share your art with me and with the other people that are taking the classes. It is an amazing, fantastic group of people, and I'm not just saying that. I feel so blessed every single day to have the world's nicest students, you guys. I love seeing your work. I love hearing the feedback. You guys are the sweetest group. I have somehow gathered the best online community. I'm so grateful for everyone that's here. And it truly is the best part of my day to see you guys enjoying the paintings and all the places that the paintings find their way into. Retirement homes, schools, kitchen counters. It really, really warms my heart. I'm gonna tear up, I'm gonna cry. I love you guys so much. All right, outside edge a little bit with my dark green. Okay, this edge looks a little bit sloppy. Okay, and then I need to tone things down a little bit, blend a little bit, mess things up a little bit. Painterly. Okay, cute. Oh, we got a little curly Q up there that we can't forget also. Just gonna fill him in with green too. Very nice. Let's work on our strawberries now. Okay, so on our strawberries, our tops are gonna be that same color green. And we can start with those. They really do remind me of star shapes. Or little hats. But we want this sort of triangular points coming together there in the center like a star, but like a slightly wonky star. Okay, slightly smooshed. That's because of the way that we're looking at it from the side a little bit. Make sure and cover your sketch lines. And I'm gonna add a little bit of a highlight right on there right now too. Just a slightly lighter version, that same color with some white. I'm just going right through those same little star shapes now. And then of course, we have to fill in our gorgeous red berries. Going to start with just red right out the bottle. We want to very carefully fill in our sketch lines and try to come up with a good clean shape. I'm going to bring the paint over there, but then I think I'm going to use my teeny tiny brush for those really small details in there. That's where sometimes that little tiny brush comes in handy. Sometimes we don't even use them. And then of course our big mama strawberry. Delicious. This one's almost spacious enough for us to use this brush in those tight places, but it will be good to go in there with a tiny brush too. Okay, let's go one size smaller. Tiny, tiny brush for tiny, tiny details. And I don't want to blend my green and my red. So what I'm trying to do here is delicately paint around, but if you do a little bit, it kind of just turns into a neutral color. That sort of works as a shadow anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But we are, for the most part, just filling this in with that bright red. Okay. And I'll come down here with my tiny brush too. Thinking about maybe doing a longer bristled tiny brush. This guy always brings drips with him, which makes me a little crazy. But, so beware of drips if you rinse your brush in between. I can see one building, waiting to mess me up, the tiniest detail step. Okay, that looks great. Going to retire tiny brush for now and go back one size up to this guy that we were just working with. And then I'm gonna grab a lighter red, not all the way to pink, really, just red with a little bit of white. And I'm going to do a few brush strokes sort of in the center part of my strawberry. And I've created just a little bit of depth with a lighter color, but not very bold at all. And then I'm blending it a little bit because I don't want it to look too streaky. And that's a very subtle step. Let's do a little more. So it's going right down the center, but I'm using sort of like curved brush strokes, just for a very slight difference in how red it is, how saturated it is. So a little less saturated, a little bit more with white there in the center. And then on the outside edges, we're gonna do the opposite. That will give us a little bit of depth. So dark red, don't take it all the way to black. We're going to outline our adorable strawberries. With our dark red color, and it will hopefully blend a little bit while you're painting with that wet on wet technique that we're going for. And if it's not blending, you can help it along a little bit too. Just like we did in our leaves around the center veins. We can grab some more just right out the bottle red and tone things down along the outside edge and blend a little bit for that nice small gradation in these shapes too. That's what makes today's painting a little bit more realistic looking. Okay, that looks good. I want to take some green now. I rinsed my brush, got the red off a bit, because those strawberries are looking good for now. And I really want to take some of my dark green and outline my cute little strawberry hat while I'm in here working with my strawberry shape. And I don't have to outline every single part, as much as we're just kind of taking a swipe through. And then I've taken the dark green along my vine too, going right on top of the green to one side. I want to do that down here too, so that gives our vine a lot more depth. I'm mostly just working with phthalo green here. I think there's a little bit of yellow in there too, so it's a nice dark saturated green. And let's go even one shade darker down the center line for our leaves, and maybe on some of the outside edges as well. This is sort of a shadow step, sort of an outline, and you had a little bit of it before already with the first dark green that we added. So yours might not even need this, depends on your painting. But since I blended that darker green into my medium green, sort of lightened it a little bit. So I like a nice crisp edge. So I'm coming back with a little bit of dark green to accentuate some of those shadows and accentuate our vine too, and our curly hues. This reminds me of a painting that I do for like a grocery store mural. Okay. I think I want a little bit of medium green. This is just a quick adjustment rather than a proper step. I think my leaf looked a little too sloppy. Okay, that looks great. Just a few little final details on those shapes, but let's fill in our flowers with white. And I'm going to just grab white on my brush, and I'm going to bring the paint out to cover the sketch lines still. And I want a nice thick coat of paint where I can sort of see the brush strokes. And since we're working with white by itself, we will add gray in just a minute. But even with the direction that we point our brush strokes, we can get a little bit of that sort of petal texture. Even the shadows that the paint brush strokes cast on the painting can create depth. That's why it's super important to get all your brush strokes going in the direction of the shape. Okay. Cute little white blossoms. Such a nice part of the plant. Always such a pretty time of year with everything blossoming like this. And I can't wait till it's fruit season. And surviving off of frozen fruit. Okay, that looks great. A few final touches. With my dark green, I'm going to do the same. A little bit of shadowing, a little bit of outlining up in my top strawberry hat. And making sure I have all of my vines with a little bit of shadow on them too. All right, so cute. I think I want to finish off the greenery now. We'll take a nice light green, so I'm going to add quite a bit of white to get a nice noticeably lighter color. And I'm going to come into my leaves, and in the sort of center part here, between the dark and the outside edge, I'm just going to add a couple painterly brush strokes, and I'm sort of varying the pressure on my brush. So you can be very light-handed, or you can push down and get a thicker line. And highlighting those kind of in-between areas. I think that looks so nice. There's a little final highlight for our leaves. Very pretty. I can add a little bit of highlight onto some of our vine areas too, if you have the space. Nice. All right. I think I want to do the strawberries last. Let's work on our cute blossoms. First, I'm going to grab some gray, like a pencil gray, medium. Not too dark, not too light. And I'm going to outline a little bit of my flowers. Very light-handed and also a little bit disjointed. So kind of just working my way around each shape quickly to add just a little bit of shadow and neatness, tidiness. And again, if you go too heavy-handed, you can always take that underneath color and tidy things up a little bit. So like I did a few too thick of lines on that front one, this front blossom. So you can, if you need to, grab some white again and slim things out a little bit. Okay, with that same gray, also in my blossoms, I'm going to do a few lines from the center point, which we don't have added yet, all around our little blossom, all around the center point, coming out towards the petals. like a little sunburst. I'm not going all the way to the middle because I'm going to fill that in just a minute with yellow and orange. Just going around an imaginary circle that will be added in just a moment. All right. Cute. And then for the centers, I'm gonna try to find some clean yellow. And I'm gonna add a pinch of white to it as well. And right in the centers, we'll add a little yellow circle. You might blend with your gray a little bit. Try to use lots of paint so that things don't get too muddy, and you can kind of just lay in a little circle. Try not to blend too much. That will have one more little final detail, very slight. But let's work on our strawberries on their final little detail steps. I think my top strawberry needs a little highlight in his hat, or her hat. And then the seeds are a fun little final step for our strawberries, which I'm also going to do with light yellow. And I'm going to add the seeds sort of coming up from the bottom, I suppose, or you could go from the top down too. And they're little ovals that are really just like brush strokes. You don't need to go over them very many times. Just whatever you end up with is fine. I'm gonna work my way around, and I'm gonna think about the roundness of the strawberry. So maybe I have some seeds that are pointed a slightly different direction. Okay, cute. And some seeds in our tiny strawberry as well, of course. All right, very nice. Very tiny little detail steps to go. Let's grab a little tiny bit of a dark red again. And I'm going to go right next to that first yellow brush stroke, and I'm going to very patiently and very delicately add a little shadow next to my seeds. Very tiny step. But it matters. And I think it would be good to do a little bit of a red shadow in sort of the deepest shadow parts around its little hat. Okay, and then everything I'm doing on my big strawberry, I'm gonna do on my tiny strawberry. Same steps. Cute. Oh, looks like I got a little bit of yellow in my flower down here. Okay, and then a tiny, tiny bit of white as well. So there's actually 3 layers, and I'm using just like the tiniest touch. And I want to see some yellow still Don't want to cover it completely with the white. Cute. And this is on the top parts. So we have like a little sandwich of white, yellow, and black. Okay, pretty cute. Our final step for our cute flowers is to use this orange that we haven't touched yet with a little bit of yellow, maybe a little yellow orange. We're gonna do a little shadow in the yellow circle. Just going to do a little half moon shape along one side of each of the centers of my flowers. Just like so. And then, yeah, I like to add a little bit of sort of the lightest highlights and darkest shadows as a final piece de la resistance type step as well, if you want. Like a little bit more highlights in our leaves, perhaps. And I think that's looking pretty good, though. I would love to know what you thought of today's painting in the comments section below. I can't wait to hear from you. And I can't wait to see your art in the art club as well. So make sure to check that out. I have a link in the description box below with that information. Thank you so much for painting along with me today and for tuning in. I hope you had fun. That is all the instructions that we have for today's tutorial. So until next time, happy spring, happy painting, and stay creative.